A common criticism I've seen in a number of reviews of Girls Und Panzer is that there's not much in the way of character development. Now, while I fundamentally disagree that character development is necessarily a requirement for a good story, or for good characters, and that could be an entire video on its own, it simply isn't the case that there's no significant character development in this show. Especially upon rewatch, this becomes quite apparent, and this may be why some people who review this show after just watching it once don't pick it up. As is so often the case with Girls Und Panzer, things aren't shoved into your face, but it's there if you're looking. Like I've said many times before, Girls Und Panzer is a show that trusts its audience to pay attention and see what it's doing. So this week, we're going to take a look at Oarai's rabbit team and their brilliant and yet subtle character development over the course of the series. As per usual, here's your spoiler warning. I'll be touching on stuff all the way through the latest Das Finale installment, so go watch all of that first if you haven't already. Apart from perhaps Miho, Rabbit Team, and its commander Azusa in particular, have the most significant development over the course of the series. When you compare where they started to where they end up by our current point in Das Finale, it's really striking, and as I already hinted at, it's very subtly done, mostly in the background. Now, let's take a closer look, starting of course from the beginning. We actually first meet the members of Rabbit Team, or at least a few of them, before we truly meet them. What do I mean? In episode 1, they appear several times in the background, and even have a couple lines. This was, of course, deliberate, setting them up as relevant in our minds before their proper introduction. In this first episode, we see some of them briefly during the Senshiro presentation, and then again, later, as Miho worries about what to do. They're sitting one table over in the cafeteria. They're clearly excited about Senshiro, but really don't have a good idea about what they're getting into, and that's made quite apparent over the next couple of episodes. This initial impression is borne out over the next several episodes, as they first struggle to get their tanks moving, and then, both in the practice battle and in the practice match against St. Gloriana, they perform terribly, going so far as to panic and abandon their tank in the ladder, and they finish the match watching from a tree. Although, early on we do get a hint that they're a clever group with something more to bring to the table, as we see them actually doing research to try and find tanks on the ship, rather than just blindly wandering around like the others. So they're not off to a great start, but that makes sense, considering that they're the only full team in Oarai's starting roster that has no members with any knowledge of tanks, or any experience in a competitive sport, at least so far as we know. Also, these scenes serve as a bit of early comic relief, in addition to setting up these characters, making double use of their screen time. Episode 4, however, is where things start to take a turn. When Miho and her crew return to the ship, all 6 members of Rabbit Team are there to formally apologize for their earlier failure. They also pledge to do better in the future, and they completely commit to this, though you need to be paying attention to catch everything. Already in their next battle against Saunders, you can start to see the change in them. The team, and especially their commander Azusa, acts much more professionally, though they're still a little immature and panicky. But this doesn't affect their performance in the battle, and later in the fight, they hold their position in the protective formation, willingly taking a hit instead of the flag tank. This then continues through the Pravda battle in the main show, as they're shown again performing very solidly as a team, and once again willingly sacrificing their own tank to protect the flag. While their subtle development into a much more effective and competent tank crew is well done in the main season, and don't worry, we'll get to the final battle soon, it's in the Enzio OVA, which chronologically takes place before the Pravda battle, where they really come into their own. Both in the OVA's practice battle and in the main one, you see them maintain discipline, and it's their intel that tips off Miho to the fact that Enzio is using dummy tanks. Then they go on to take out one of the enemy Samoventes, with Azusa providing effective, level-headed leadership, so much so that another member of the crew compares her to Miho.
In the business, we call this foreshadowing.
By the time we get to the final battle of the season, Rabbit Team is truly a force to be reckoned with. Again utilizing some research, in the form of Kelly's heroes this time, they managed to defeat both Koromori Mine's Elephant and their Yag Tiger, thus greatly raising the team's odds. They've really come far from fleeing their tank in the first battle of the season. See the gradual progression? Their development as tankers follows along the main plot without getting in the way. Of course, by the time we get to their film and Das Finale, this is even more apparent. They're the ones who save the team with the also movie-inspired Ferris wheel trick in their film, along with taking out at least 2 enemy tanks on their own. And in Das Finale, especially in part 2, the entire team, and in particular Azusa, is shown to be very on the ball. Just look at how Azusa is alert and scanning for danger, then when she spots it, all 6 of them immediately get back inside the tank and into positions. Real-life tankers would be really proud of them, and may even empathize with them, considering their own training period. Finally, at the end of Das Finale Part 3, with Miho and her team being eliminated at the start of their match against Keizoku, a lot of speculation is pointing to Azusa taking charge in Part 4, but we'll see for sure in about a year or so. Who knows, maybe I'll even do a live reaction or something fun when the time comes. As I think I've shown throughout this video so far, the best part about this arc is that the show never feels the need to shove this right in your face, or even to just stop and tell us anything. Rabbit Team are side characters, and so their development takes place in the background. They never need a scene where Miho or someone else just stops and goes, whoa, they really got good at this. This just serves as a reminder that character development doesn't need to be super drastic and obvious. Subtlety, especially when you're dealing with a large ensemble cast like this, and have the advantage of being in an animated medium, is often a better choice, one that is too often not taken advantage of in favor of simpler, easier methods of showing such things to the audience. It's extremely clear to the attentive viewer that these aren't the same girls from episode 1, although their upbeat, energetic personalities remain intact. They become such an effective tank crew, and Azusa such a skilled commander, that both among fan speculation and, if I remember right, in some out-of-anime material, it's believed that Azusa will be the one to take over as overall commander of the team once Miho graduates. If that happens, it will be incredibly well-deserved, and she will lead the team to greatness. It's just really excellent character work, and it adds all the more depth to the series. So if you ever hear someone try to criticize Girls Und Panzer by saying it doesn't have enough character development, well, hopefully this helps you explain to them why they're wrong. If you enjoyed the video and would like to support the channel, links to my books and light novels are in the description below. Additionally, check out my Patreon. Among other rewards such as early looks at new updates for my mecha serial, my light novels, and more, you get to see future videos early. And of course, if you have any thoughts on this video, or any aspects of the show you'd like me to talk about, definitely share them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them, and I do my best to read and respond to all of the comments. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future uploads. That's all for now, so until next time.